The XFL is back. Again. Well, for the third time actually. But maybe this time it sticks around. The league initially launched as a spring football league back in 2001 and then again in 2020 that ended up being a shortened attempt because of COVID. Now, it's owned by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and his, ex-wife, Dany Garcia. The league kicks off in February and it's really going to start to get rolling here soon, constructing rosters. In November, the league will assign all 8 teams 2 quarterbacks, and that will be followed by a draft. That leaves us with what we do know right now. The 8 teams, their names, logos, stadiums, and coaches. The Arlington Renegades. The name is familiar to the XFL. In 2020, we had the Dallas Renegades, and their coach was Bob Stoops, and he'll be the head coach here for the Arlington Renegades too. Stoops is a legendary college football head coach, and is in the College Football Hall of Fame. He coached at Oklahoma for 18 years, and really brought the Sooners back from the dead. He won a national championship in 2000, and won 10 Big 12 titles. Stoops was 191-48 in his time in Norman. The Renegades logo is a light blue R with this slash for the R. They are going to be playing at Choctaw Stadium, which is formerly Globe Life Park, and it was home of the Texas Rangers from 1994 to 2019. Next, the DC Defenders. They were a team in 2020, but do look a little bit different. The logo is now a big D with a C inside of it with a star. Looks like the color is still going to be red, which is perfect for DC. Every team that actually plays in DC has red: the Nationals, Capitals, and Wizards. The Defenders are going to be playing at Audi Field, where they played in 2020, which is the home of DC United in the MLS. Their head coach is Reggie Barlow, an 8-year NFL vet who was a wide receiver and kick returner. He ended up coaching for some HBCU teams after his pro career, and he spent 8 years at his alma mater, Alabama State, before coaching for 5 years at Virginia State, which is actually pretty damn close to where we grew up. As a head coach, Barlow is 83-58 with 1 conference title. We'll be rooting for the DC Defenders, not because of Reggie Barlow, but because we live close to DC and will probably make it out for a handful of games. We rooted really hard for the Defenders 3 years ago, and we'll be there again soon. The Houston Roughnecks. This is another returning team from 2020. The logo looks a lot like the old Roughnecks logo too from 3 years ago, with the big H and a star. But the logo doesn't have any homage back to the Houston Oilers anymore. Like in 2020, the Roughnecks will play at TDECU Stadium, which is the home football stadium for the University of Houston. Their head coach is Wade Phillips, a very familiar name. He's been the head coach for 3 different NFL teams, the Broncos, Bills, and Cowboys, and compiled an 83-69 regular season record. He's also managed to be the interim head coach at some point for 3 different franchises: the Saints, Falcons, and Texans. He last served as the Rams defensive coordinator from 2017 to 2019. The Orlando Guardians. The Guardians is a returning name from 2020, but they were the New York Guardians last time we saw them. The logo looks cool, somewhat similar to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but the colors for the Guardians are going to look really cool, I think. Their home stadium is the Camping World Stadium, for a long time known as the Florida Citrus Bowl. It was the home of UCF football from 1979 to 2006, and currently hosts both the Citrus Bowl and the Cheez-It Bowl. Orlando is headed by head coach Terrell Buckley, a 14-year NFL vet who played for 7 different teams and recorded 50 interceptions. He was a college coach for 15 seasons after his retirement and was most recently the cornerbacks coach at Ole Miss. The San Antonio Brahmas. So I had to look this one up, but a Brahmin is a breed of cattle. It's kind of like a cow. The logo is pretty cool. It's just like a Brahmin head, and the colors look like yellow and black, which should look good. They'll be playing at the Alamo Dome, home of the Alamo Bowl and UTSA football. Now, I think the Brahmas are going to be a hot team, and there's one big reason why: their head coach, Hines Ward. Hines Ward played for the Steelers for 14 seasons, made 4 Pro Bowls, and most importantly, won a Super Bowl MVP. He was a very good NFL wideout with over 12,000 yards and 85 touchdowns in his career. And now, we'll get to see what he does as a head coach. He has 4 years of coaching experience, most recently as the wide receivers coach at Florida Atlantic. The Seattle Sea Dragons. Sort of a returning team from 2020. They were the Seattle Dragons and just kind of added C. I like the logo a lot. mascot, you can't really go wrong with a dragon, and the color scheme should be sick too. The Dragons are going to have the luxury of playing at an NFL stadium, Lumen Field, home of the Seattle Seahawks. The Dragons head coach is Jim Haslett, an 8-year NFL linebacker for the Bills and Jets, and member of the College Football Hall of Fame. Haslett has been coaching for almost 30 years and was the head coach of the Saints for 6 years, going 45-51 during the span. He also briefly spent time as the interim head coach of the Rams, and he was last the linebackers coach for the Titans from 2020 to 2021. Another returner from 2020, the St. Louis Battlehawks. The logo is very, very similar, but it's a lot more blue, but the colors are all still the same. The Battlehawks are going to stay at the same stadium, the Dome at America Center, formerly known as Edwards-Jones Dome, where the St. Louis Rams played before they moved to Los Angeles. The Battlehawks head coach is Anthony Becht. Becht was a first-round pick back in 2000 and spent 11 years as a tight end in the NFL with the Jets, Bucks, Rams, Cardinals, and Chiefs. He had over 1,500 yards and 21 touchdowns in his career. Becht was hired as a college football analyst for ESPN in 2013, and as far as I can tell, his only coaching experience was as a tight ends coach for the San Diego Fleet in the AAF. The Vegas Vipers, returning name from 2020, but they aren't in Tampa Bay anymore. In fact, the Vipers don't even know what stadium they're going to be playing at yet. I think this might be the coolest logo, the red and black with the snake. It just looks dope, and I can't wait to see the jerseys. The Vipers have a big name at head coach too, Rod Woodson. He's in both the College Football Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He played 17 years in the NFL, mostly with the Steelers, but did play for the 49ers, Ravens, and Raiders as well. Woodson got into coaching in 2010 and most recently was the cornerbacks coach for the Raiders, but they were in Oakland at the time, so there isn't actually a connection to Vegas. We're still waiting to see which quarterbacks get assigned to which teams, but we do know some of the players that have been working out with the head of quarterback development of the XFL, Jordan Palmer. There's a lot of them actually, but here are some of the names that you may know. Ryan Willis will be playing in the league after he won MVP of the Spring League last spring. The former Virginia Tech quarterback actually spent some time on the Bears roster, but he was waived. De'Aaron King is going to be a very, very exciting player to watch. He was a great dual threat at times in college at both Houston and Miami. He spent the preseason with the Patriots, but didn't make the final roster. If you're into spring football leagues, you'll probably know Brandon Silvers. The Troy product played in the AAF, XFL in 2020, the Spring League, and even fan-controlled football. Finally, the guy who might actually be the biggest name in the league, Carson Strong. Strong was a guy considered to be a top quarterback at the 2022 NFL draft at times, but lingering knee issues ruined his stock. He signed with the Eagles, but didn't end up making the final roster. Now, he gets a chance to prove to teams that he is good enough to play in the NFL, and that's really the beauty of the XFL. 3 years ago, the XFL gave players a chance to show that they were good enough to play in the NFL. The question is, who's going to be the next Taylor Heineke or PJ Walker?